0-2. No MVP has started a season 0-3 before, but Lamar Jackson is facing those odds. He talked about the struggles yesterday, and he said, quote, at the end of the day, we are beating ourselves. Get this, y'all. Losing to the Chiefs, acceptable. Losing to a Raiders team under a first-year head coach, Antonio Pierce.
Hold on now.
If you're Lamar Jackson, it's not acceptable.
That's why you play the game. Sure.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Y'all, if Lamar Jackson starts 0-3, y'all do realize it would be another hard reset for Lamar Jackson. Like, if Lamar were to start 0-3, now people are getting fired once again.
100%.
If you start 0-3, depending on what statistic you use, over the last 20 years, only 1 out of 120 teams has made the playoffs after starting 0-3. Again, that is less than 1% chance you will make the playoffs if you start 0-3 over the last 20 years and change. What that means is very simple. Somebody getting fired. Either Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator who was brought in for a fired Greg Roman to resurrect Lamar's playoff career, getting fired, or worse, Harbaugh, head coach, might be getting fired, or worse, OC, DC, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and the head coach might be getting fired. If you start 0-3, you are not making the playoffs. So in what world can Lamar Jackson afford to start 0-3? Not in this world, I can promise you that much. James Jones, let's talk about the magnitude of this matchup. What would an 0-3 start mean for Lamar Jackson?
Man, I don't want this for Lamar because I think an 0-3 start starts the conversation that we all don't want to hear. And it's going to be all the questions about Lamar Jackson that we don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Can he win with this style of quarterback play? Is he a passer? Should they kept Greg Roman? Is this the coaches last year they're 0-3? Can Lamar be a pocket passer and pass from the pocket? You trade this offensive coordinator and Greg Roman that ran the ball to this offensive coordinator to get the best out of Lamar Jackson, and we're about to start 0-3. We've put every piece we thought we possibly could put around Lamar Jackson, and he still has not found a way to get to the big game. If they go 0-3, it's going to be so many questions in that Baltimore Ravens area, facility, worldwide, and it's going to be all truly negative questions on Lamar Jackson. I think that is what is at stake at this game. They cannot start 0-3. Lamar Jackson has to deliver. Harbaugh has to deliver because they cannot start 0-3 because I believe we are going to get all them questions that we don't want to answer about Lamar Jackson.
The 0-3 start means you're not making the playoffs. Let's just be clear about it. Like you said, the last 25 seasons, go back to 1990, 2.5% chance of making the playoffs. Since you start 0-3. I remember I started 0-3, or we started 0-3 when I was with the Saints in 2012, and the whole season spiraled. Like, I think we were 0-4. We won the four next games, but it's the lead in division is insurmountable. Like it just doesn't make sense to me at all. And I don't have, even if he starts 0-3, I don't have those questions about Lamar. I am fully a believer in Lamar Jackson. Like, I think he is a top 3 or 4 quarterback in the NFL. I think the pieces around him need to be better. Specifically, Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator.
I can't do that, Chase. I can't do that.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying.
I'm not doing this.
You on the right side, but there's going to be a lot of them.
So specifically, the offensive coordinator. All right, they got to get into a rhythm offensively. Lamar's got to make the plays. Lamar has put the team on his back. They should have won the Chiefs game.
Really quick, the only reason why people are going to push back on you because and a lot of people in the world too, but they're going to say, well, he had a dude that just ran the ball and you wanted this. He had a bunch of first-round receivers, and now we saying the dude that passes the ball ain't a good offensive coordinator for Lamar.
Let me get to my take.
Oh, you ain't there yet?
Nope. It's coming full circle. Okay? And the pieces, Todd Monken, right? Like, you need to run the ball better. You need to feed Derrick Henry. You need to do the right things. Guys, I'm going to the defensive side of the ball. Mike McDonald. That defense was supposed to be the reason that the Ravens were going to be okay this year.
Yes, sir.
They have been downright awful. 20 points at home given up in the last 4 drives to Gardner Minshew. The Ravens, the defense, that is their heartbeat. Not Lamar Jackson. You lose Patrick Queen. You don't want to pay him. Ronald Darby gone. Rock Ya-Sin. Geno Stone, who was second in the league in interceptions last year. Jadeveon Clowney. Tyus Bowser. Mike McDonald went to the Seattle Seahawks. At the end of the day, you got to score points. And look, I know people are going to point to the stat Lamar Jackson in that game. He did 3 straight 3-and-outs at the end of the game. You let up 20 points on defense. That's my point. I think Lamar Jackson, is feeling the pressure to do everything by himself because this is a team game. Yes, the offensive coordinator needs to be better. Yes, of course, Lamar needs to be better. But it's a three-phase game, special teams. Justin Tucker used to be automatic from 50 yards. He's 2 for 7 his last. Like, these are all points out in the game. The whole team is failing Lamar, not just Lamar.
Let me circle that.
No, I got to get the shake.
No, I'm just circling that real quick because that's another question people going.
Oh, we gonna address that. We gonna address that.
The circle is can Lamar win without a defense? That's gonna be another question.
We gonna address that. 2-5. How bad would the Owens?
Yeah, well, like Chase said, I mean, there's no playoffs, right? And then they could probably lose the next 2 also. It'd be 0-5 because they got the Bengals, which is always the toughest of the divisional game. And Josh Allen ain't.
Oh, my Lord.
You know what I'm saying? It can get real bad. Another thing I hate about this is because all the real haters that really hate on Lamar Jackson, that's mad that a player like him, the way his playing style, the way he plays quarterback, they hate that, right? And now that you pay him all this money, he's one of the best in the league. People hate to see that. So now it gives him like.
That's it.
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? It gives him ammo to really talk about it. So now, if things don't go well for Lamar, I told you so. You know, he shouldn't have been a quarterback. He should have been this. He should have been that. So I just hate it because Lamar is really, really good. He's an elite quarterback in this league, and he won't get the respect if he goes 0-3, 0-4. And it's going to start that narrative of, is he really a good quarterback?
There it is.
That he deserves to be the guy.
So dumb.
Well, here's
Such a dumb narrative.
Here's my thought, because I'm gonna start this narrative. I'm gonna start this narrative talking to everybody. Is Lamar to me would now become the norm and not the outlier. What is the norm? The norm for quarterbacks that are elite runners is you have a lot of success in your career at a very early age and early stage. Whether we start with Robert Griffin, who peaked in his first year in the NFL, whether you talk about Cam Newton, who peaked in his 5th year in the NFL, you can look at Russell Wilson, who peaked collectively with this team in his 2nd and 3rd year in the NFL. Mike Vick peaked, went to the championship game in his 4th year in the NFL. But the running quarterbacks, notable quarterbacks that have 700 or more rushing yards, they peak early. This is not Emmanuel Acho's opinion. This is just what the data suggests. Lamar Jackson should be better than every of these quarterbacks listed on your screen. He's a 2-time MVP, 1 time is unanimous. He should be an outlier. But if he starts 0-3, and now you're telling me we got to change the coaching staff again, I believe that we have seen a peak, a crescendo of Lamar Jackson's career. Now you might say, Acho, Lamar got 10 more years left. Sure he does. And in 2013, Russell Wilson had 10 more years left. It didn't mean it was going to be better. In 2004, Mike Vick had 10 more years left. It didn't mean it was going to get better. It just meant it was going to exist. What I would suggest is, and really I'm talking to you, Chase, because this is a conversation that you were bringing up, is I think that Lamar Jackson would be in line for becoming another statistic as opposed to becoming the outlier. Being honest with you, bro. And I spent a lot of time on this conversation.
You were on 30 minutes in the meeting trying to get all this right, and I like it. But come on, man. There's no way we are even mentioning Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, RG3 in the same breath as Lamar Jackson. I'm sorry. He's a better quarterback than all 3 of them combined.
Absolutely is.
And it's not even close. We're using rushing yards now?
Yeah.
That's not what a quarterback does, in my opinion.
But that's what Lamar Jackson does best.
He's not. Not last year. He won an MVP, and it was a little bit of debate.
But
I
how
get
many
it.
passing touchdowns?
I don't even know the passing touchdowns.
25.
But when you look at what he's doing when Todd Monken actually came in, that's why I'm a little worried about the scheme. The scheme this year is not the same. Last year, it took them 4 or 5 games purely based off film to get started and get going in the right direction. Then all his receivers started making plays. They understood who they were as an offense. Guys, we're only 2 games into the year. You don't know who you are as an offense till 4 or 5 games in.
Sure.
So, but to your point, I think they could be 0-5. Right? But I don't know if that's all going to be put on Lamar Jackson. At what point do we hold the coach accountable? At what point do we hold the defense accountable? Everyone's got a piece of the pie here.
Can I ask you a question? So you think if they start 0-3, like Lamar has peaked, like you don't see Lamar getting better?
Not that I don't see Lamar getting better. I don't see Lamar having more team success than he already has had. I already believe that. Right, I've said that before. Again, I look at data. I don't necessarily look at my feelings. I look at the facts. And the data suggests quarterbacks that are great at running but aren't necessarily as proficient as throwing, they have success earlier on in their career and not later on in their career, in large part because of wear and tear on their legs and the tread on their legs, the tread on their tires, and injuries. A lot of the quarterbacks I mentioned, Robert Griffin, Injuries. Kyler Murray, what happened to him last year? Injuries. Jalen Hurts, what's happened to him the last 2 seasons? He's just so tough that you don't notice it. Jalen Hurts had a knee all year. Shady will tell you all about it. And the year before, if y'all remember, he had a shoulder. Injuries. What happened to Cam Newton? Injuries. What happened to Mike Vick? The reason Nick Foles replaced him in 2013 when Shady and him were teammates, injury, a hamstring. How'd he get a hamstring, Acho? Running off a zone read, and Mike Vick is Mike Vick. So what I am suggesting is that quarterback elite at running, because of the tread they put on their legs, they don't have the same success as a Matthew Stafford who wins a Super Bowl at 34 or 35.
So you're saying more is the injury part?
That's primarily it. And